Welcome to the Purple Elephant Show. I am your host, KC Phoenix. And before I go any further, don't forget to share this video if you are watching it on YouTube, and also subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell as well. On Daily Motion, if you could please subscribe, that would be great too. You can follow on Twitter at Real TPES is the Twitter hashtag. And on Instagram, it is The Purple Elephant Show. Also, if you would like to listen to the podcast, for those who are listening to the podcast, the main podcasting website is thepurpleelephantshow.com. Thepurpleelephantshow.com. It will take you to the main podcasting website, even though this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and many other podcasting platforms. Now that I've got that part out the way, I need to get the other part out the way. I know that this title is a little bit harsh. It's just, this is the only way I could think of to say it. I don't plan to do bombastic titles, salacious titles, or anything like that, notorious titles, or any other way to describe title. This is something that has just really been just annoying me a little bit. And it's people, current and former people who work in the Trump who either work in the Trump administration or have worked in the Trump administration. And when they leave, they have to say something about it. They have to go write a book. We don't need all that. What's going on right now with the John Bolton situation, that is a very, I'll say, sleazy, slimy, corrupt, trifling, no good, low down, dirty dog type of situation. Because the conversations that are had with President Trump should stay with President Trump. And there's not even a guarantee that the conversations presented in John Bolton's book are the actual conversations that happen with President Trump. Because as we all know, there's three sides to every story. There is your side, their side, and then the truth. So we were not at the White House when these quote unquote conversations happened. So we don't know. We don't know how reliable of a source John Bolton is, which he's already admitted that he is willing to lie about foreign policy before. He said it himself. So, and even if he was the most reliable source on planet Earth, that doesn't mean he needs to write a book about conversations with the President of the United States after just leaving the White House. It's one thing if you do it 10 to 15 years later. Okay, fine, whatever. But while the president is still in office, it's just not needed. The same thing can also be said for those who are still in the administration, which one situation really upset me, where one of the generals for the photo op that happened in front of the church was saying that they thought it was unhelpful or unnecessary. If you had an issue with the photo op, you should have taken that issue to the President of the United States. You should have said, Mr. President, I don't mean any harm. I would appreciate it if you could give me a heads up in the future if you decide to do something like that. Because that particular photo op I didn't feel comfortable with that photo op. And then that's where it stays. It doesn't need to go to the media. We don't need people constantly talking to the media to air any grievance they may have with the president or with anybody in the administration. If you have a grievance with someone, including the president of the United States, take it directly to them. Don't go to the media, because the media is not on your side. And don't do it thinking that, oh, well, I'm going to bash the president and that will gain me favor with the media. That's not a win. The media, the mainstream media, mostly is garbage. They have been garbage. They will always be garbage. Why do you want to gain favor with garbage? Because that's what they are. I strongly believe in free speech. People can say what they want to say, and I strongly believe in that. However, I have to add something in here. Another thing I strongly believe in is loyalty. And that's where if you have an issue with something that the President of the United States does and you work in his administration, go ahead and tell him. You don't have to come in to the Oval Office like a bull in a china shop, which you more than likely couldn't do that anyway. Or, come in with your chest out and cussing and screaming and doing whatever, or just being rude. We're not saying do all of that. You can just come in and just politely say, hey, I'm bringing this up because I don't agree with this, and I just would like to let you know for future reference. That way, if the situation happens again, you already know that you brought it to his attention. Now, whether he remembers, because I'm sure he deals with a lot of stuff every day, who knows? But at least you know you brought it to his attention instead of running to the media first. And I will say, out of all the people in the administration, I haven't picked up a bad feeling about him, unlike some others. Please see one of my previous episodes. I'm pretty sure he's a solid guy, but regardless of whether his work internally is solid or not, the external appearance, the energy that's given off, everything that I have observed thus far and got a feel for seems pretty solid. My favorite person in the administration so far is Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. It seems like to me, and I'm just on the outside looking in, I don't work at the White House. I don't want to work at the White House because I'd probably cuss some people out. But it seems like to me, he keeps his head down and he does his job. Mike, we need you to serve as CIA director. Okay. Mike Pompeo did that. All right, Mike, you know what? We need for you to go and be Secretary of State now because Rex Tillerson got to go. So we need you to switch on over from CIA director to Secretary of State. Okay, I'm there. I don't see Mike Pompeo out constantly talking to the media. I don't hear about Mike Pompeo. I honestly don't. Besides the regular meetings that are part of his scope of support and the interviews that he does give to the media, but just out throwing red meat out for the media to feed on, to cause chaos in the administration, haven't picked that up. Now, internally, he could be one of the biggest leakers of all, but I don't think so. He seems like he's on the Bill Barr side of the situation, which, as I mentioned with Bill Barr, my episode, what's the title of that episode I did? My Instincts Tell Me Bill Barr is Livid. So check out that episode. I believe Mike Pompeo is on the Bill Barr side of things, where it's not about President Trump. It's not about whether you hate him or love him or like him or dislike him or don't feel any type of way. It's about the office of the president. It's about the office itself. And while working and being part of the executive branch, I feel he's focusing on doing everything possible to maintain the stability of the executive branch itself. Because presidents come and go. I wish it was like that with Congress. But in side note, for all those who always scream about term limits, and yeah, I'll retweet when someone says term limits, but let's be realistic. Term limits only happen if the law is made. So you're asking Congress to make a law to limit themselves. Yeah, good luck with that. But back to Mike Pompeo. I feel that it is about the office of the president, maintaining the stability of the office. Because after President Trump leaves, and he will, there will be another president that comes along. And if the office is weakened due to all of these shenanigans that are happening because of people who don't agree with the things that the president wants to do, then the office will be weakened for the next president that comes along. And I believe Mike Pompeo and Bill Barr realize that. They realize it's not about President Trump. It's about the office of the president. And that's why I like Mike Pompeo, because he keeps his head down and he does his work. He doesn't have time for the BS. And I respect people like that. It's not all about rainbows, sunshine, flowers, and roses and everything else. Let's get the job done and keep it moving. I like those type of people. Because all that other stuff usually doesn't get the job done. So for people within current and former, within the Trump administration, and people that have left the Trump administration, I do wish they would learn to shut the F up. Because we don't need the extra. We don't need a book from every single person that leaves the Trump administration. And if you plan on writing a book, give it at least a decade. If you don't think you're going to live in a decade, write the damn book now and then set it to be released after your death or 10 years from whenever, and do it that way. If you truly care about getting the information out, you won't care if the book comes out when you're alive or dead, because your focus would be getting the information out in doing that. So, but constantly releasing books because you worked in the Trump administration, whoop-de-damn-do. So yeah, and I'm not saying that all the people releasing books are horrible people. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, we don't need to know everything. Show us what has been accomplished. Let us know what has been accomplished. We already know there is a rotten part, a corrupted part of government that exists and is working against the will of the current president. That is a given. And I'm sure there are stories out the wazoo that have been created due to people's past actions, and that will continue to happen due to people's future actions. However, let's focus on what is getting done versus focusing on stuff that's happened that doesn't advance anything except create more confusion. And when it comes to especially military people, the one with the general really, really irritates me. Not just from a loyalty standpoint, but from a military standpoint. If you are in the military, you don't go to the media and disagree with the president. You keep that in-house. The president is the commander-in-chief. You don't need to say anything All you need to do is shut the F up. If you don't like working for the President of the United States, quit. That's all you have to do is quit. It's not that difficult. But you're out saying all this stuff, running your mouth. I would hate to see what happens if you were ever captured by the enemy. You just spill all the secrets. So I just don't get it when it comes to military people running their mouth instead of doing their job, which is for the American people, in accomplishing the goals that have been set for this president. He has an agenda. Help him accomplish the goals or get out the way. And then come back when you agree with another president whose goals align with yours. But during the interim, shut the F up. So yeah, that's all I got. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, you can listen at the podcast website. ThePurpleElephantShow.com is the main podcasting website. And for Twitter, at RealTPES. On Instagram, The Purple Elephant Show. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. When you hit the subscribe button, don't forget to hit the bell because that will let you know when another show has been uploaded on Daily Motion. Don't forget to subscribe. And I think that is all I have. I really appreciate everyone for listening because I glance at the metrics. I don't get, lost in the metrics, but I do glance at them. And I appreciate everyone that has been watching the show on YouTube and on Daily Motion and listening to the podcast as well. So thank you again for your support and be blessed.